Alright, what's up y'all, it's LakerFan here. As y'all can see by the title of today's video, we're here to rank every attribute rating in NBA 2K21 Next Gen in tiers F through S. So we're going to start from the bottom, go to the top. I hope y'all enjoy. If you do, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on the noties, all that good stuff. Let's try this vid to 800 likes in the first 24 hours. And as you can see, we have this laid out in the categories that it appears in the My Player Builder. This is not the actual attribute ratings that you're going to see in this video, but you can see we got the finishing right here with close shot, driving dunk, driving layup, standing dunk, post control. We got the shooting with the mid-range, free throw, and three-pointer. We got the pass accuracy, ball handling, and speed with ball for the playmaking. Interior D, perimeter D, steal, block, O-board, D-board for the defense. And then we have the physicals as well with the speed, acceleration, strength, vertical, and stamina. So I'm going to go ahead and reorder these, and then we're going to start in the F tier, and we're going to get straight into it. So I hope y'all enjoy. Alright y'all, so here's the video format. We're not talking about how the attribute rating affects badges in any way. So in some situations, obviously you're going to want to upgrade free throw on your player. But we all know free throw is a pretty much useless attribute rating unless you're talking about playing rec or pro-am, whatever it may be, and that's going to be pretty rare for the people who are watching this video. Now if you're somebody who does play pro-am, obviously if you're a point guard, gotta have this upgraded, because you having 25 free throw, whether you're running the point guard and the badges that it's going to affect, or just for the sake of you running pro-am and having 25 free throw, it's going to be awful. Like, you literally are going to be shooting about 20 to maybe 15% at best with a 25 free throw rating. Anyway, we're gonna get straight along with this. You guys get the deal. We're not having the attribute ratings in any way affected by the rank on this list by badges and how it's gonna impact your badges. So in the F tier, we have free throw and post control. I feel like pretty self-explanatory. Again, we just already talked about free throw and how it's pretty much, actually it is literally useless for 2v2 and 3v3 or anything other than the pro-am scene. And then alongside it, we have the post control as well. Now listen, I know exactly what this attribute rating does, okay? For anybody that's out there trying to school me on how, oh, LakerFan, it affects post hook rating as well. I understand that, but listen, in this game, I feel like the post hooks, they're pretty irrelevant in all honesty. And just with how much of a demigod you can have in the first place of like just a straight ISO beast when it comes to the power forward demigod builds and stuff like that, where you got the three-pointer that you'll be able to hit like super contested threes. You got driving dunk, contact dunks all over the place. Why sacrifice speed, etc., stuff like that to even make a post score in this game in the first place? And then even for the sake of like 3v3, if you want to make that discussion as well, post hooks in general are 100% useless. So the only thing that post hook rating itself would be useful for, or post control in general, would be for 2v2. Now listen, if somebody's hating on this, feel free to let me know if you think this should be higher on the list. Personally, I feel like the meta, and for all the casuals out there, I haven't really seen any post scores on 2v2, and I feel like it's because just in general, this game is not so much about winning, it's more about having fun. And even at that, like we just talked about, the ISO meta, honestly, I don't even think post scores are going to be what rules this game in general, even for the 2v2 court. Now, I guess we'll see how that pans out. Honestly, I might look back at this and 100% regret the fact that I put the post control in the F tier. Honestly, if this becomes a post-meta game for the 2v2 court, you can make the case this belongs in the D tier, potentially even C tier. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and just leave this in the F tier, because flat out, there's no point in being a post scorer in this game when you can flat out just get the contact dunks, ISO, shoot the threes when wide open, and even shoot them when they're not wide open half the time. Now coming into the E tier, we have a very similar attribute rating when it comes to the post control, where you have the post hook affected in that as well with the close shot. Now, the close shot is for standing layups. Personally, I feel like you can get away with 25 close shot on no matter what your build is. And everybody critiques this in the game. You know, like all you see in the demigod power forwards is no close shot, no interior defense, right? Personally, I feel like the close shot is 100% avoidable. Like, you just flat out don't have to take shots like this down low. If you're wide open, it's the easiest shot possible. And then a contested one, why even take it up in the first place? And then even at that, if you upgrade your standing dunk and have rise up, it doesn't even give you the threat of having to take the standing layup. It'll just be a standing dunk anytime anybody's not near you. So me personally, I feel like close shot you can get away with 100%, but it is comparable into the sense where I feel like it's still at least somewhat valuable to have, because it can bail you out in certain situations where maybe it'd be a pretty bad shot otherwise, but since you have it, you can actually get bailed out by the close shot rating itself. Now, in the D tier, we have strength. I feel like I might be lowballing this a little bit. Personally, I'm still one that likes to upgrade it because I like to have the brick wall, etc., stuff like that. And I will tell you guys the impact that I feel with this strength. Now, I've had a lot of people telling me, make a video on strength alone. Does strength matter? Etc., stuff like that. Why'd you upgrade strength on both your builds, etc., stuff like that. Look, I'm gonna just put it like this. Strength is a very cheap attribute rating. I feel like, you know, it literally doesn't even cost a whole overall or anything like that. So I just thought, no reason to not upgrade it in the first place. And if it pans out to where it's useful, then great for me. If it's 100% useless, then oh well. But the way that I see this, it's actually very useful in the sense of perimeter defense. I feel like you get really good body up animations. It almost feels like extreme clamps at all times, I would say. Now, I've also seen, I gotta say, this might be just speculation, and granted, you know, I like to think that I'm a pretty good defender in this game as well, but I would like to credit strength for the most part when it comes to that. I feel like this prevents you from getting bodied up. It helps you stop people from getting to the hoop, essentially, to where you can body them up and actually make contact with them to prevent getting contact dunked on. And then obviously things like blocking into your defense are going to help you from preventing getting contact dunked on when it comes to people trying to put you in the animations. I'm just saying, I think strength plays a pretty good role in perimeter defense, and people sleep on that. And then on top of that, we all know with the screen setting, you have to have strength at least at, I think, 71 to get gold brick wall. And then I don't even know what the Hall of Fame requirement is, but either way, you guys get the deal. Strength is important in the sense of being like a potential screen setter, etc., stuff like that. And then on top of that too, like I said, the perimeter defense, I think is a very valuable attribute rating. But with all that said, it still belongs in the D tier as far as this functionality goes. But for the sake of how cheap this is toward upgrading your player, like every other physical is in the game as well, I suggest upgrade this no matter what your build is, unless you're like a 6'3", 6'4" point guard, something like that, where this is really of no relevance to you anyway. This is going to help you play defense in any way. But for anybody that's like, you know, 6'7" and up, I would definitely recommend to max out your strength. It really doesn't cost you anything when it comes to the attribute points. Either way, not a very effective attribute rating overall. So now into the C tier, we got interior defense, offensive rebound, steal, standing dunk, driving layup. Now here's the thing about interior D. I know a lot of people are going to be, you know, commenting on this video like, oh, you hate interior defense. You absolutely recommend nobody upgrades their interior defense. Why do you have it in the C tier over things like strength and close shot? Well, either way, like I said, close shot is pretty useless. And then strength, again, just doesn't have the best functionality, but it's very cheap on your attribute points. Interior defense is ridiculously expensive. However, I do see the impact of upgrading it. It's, you know, it's not even debatable or contestable, if you will. Where interior defense is super effective in stopping you from getting contact dunked on, it's just super expensive in comparison to something like strength that's super cheap when it comes to your overall points. So my thing is, I respect the decision of anybody who upgraded their interior defense. I just think it takes away from a lot of the attribute upgrades that you can make when it comes to the My Player Builder. But if we're just looking at this from a balanced standpoint, where we're not looking at the badges that get upgraded with the ratings or how much the ratings cost toward your overall, just the rating itself, interior defense is pretty solid. I would say this is definitely C tier, maybe even B tier when it comes to that. But like I said, very hard to upgrade because of how much it costs towards your player if you're the demigod power forward builds. If you're a point guard though, very easy to upgrade this and not have it affect your overall. It's just, obviously, we all know. I mean, why make anything other than power forward in this game? So now we got offensive rebound. I'll always just go ahead and tell you guys, offensive rebound is going to be slightly less important than defensive rebound no matter what the situation is, because especially in this game where almost everybody can shoot, it's not going to be very often that you have the traditional inside bigs, if you will, that are going to be setting screens, always rolling toward the hoop, always crashing for offensive rebounds. Typically in this game, you're going to see a lot of people doing the pick and pops and staying away from their guard when they drive or shoot, or you know, just in a situation that it's going to be a little bit harder to get the O boards because you're not in position for it. I do still think there's a very good attribute rating to be had. Obviously, you know, it's kind of a glue one. There's nothing special about this being upgraded, but it goes unnoticed in a lot of situations, especially in this super heavy ISO game, where if you are a point guard who's going to be doing a lot of drive and kicking, that's a whole different story, because a lot of these PGs, a lot of these people who think they want to ISO, they don't upgrade this O board very high, and it's just dumb in my opinion. Same goes with vertical. Like, you'll be a complete ISO beast when it comes to shooting threes, getting yourself open, driving dunk, contact dunking on people, but then the same exact people don't upgrade O board as far as they can, and they don't upgrade vertical anything past like 70 just for the, you know, maxed out driving dunk or whatever. And the whole point of my like thesis and statement right here is the fact that when you go in and you drive and kick out to your teammate, just like that, the person that you're rebounding against probably has the maxed out D board and the maxed out vertical, when you could be competing for that offensive rebound off of your teammate's miss easily, but you don't have it upgraded. So definitely a C tier attribute rating when it comes to my opinion, and I think this is definitely something that's worth having, especially if you're a big man. So now we have steal. A lot of people disregarded this on their build 100%. I gotta say, this actually feels like one of the years that steal is actually useful for on-ball stealing, and honestly, like, what comes with it is pickpocket as well, where I do feel like you can make a really big impact when it comes to reaching in on people this year. And, you know, obviously people say what they want about spammers and stuff like that. I'm somebody who uses the right stick to go for steals. The dig steals, quote unquote, is what they're called. And I only swipe it once. And I gotta say, having like 84 steal and gold pickpocket feels tremendous in this game. And it actually makes a very good impact, especially in this game where it's all about, you know, having to guard somebody for 24 seconds and then just for you to get contact dunked on at the very end of the shot clock, or make some crazy green on, or just make some white. It's stuff that you guys get what I'm saying. To be able to make plays and make impact when it comes to being a quick playmaker on defense, where you're getting steals, getting blocks, stuff like that, chase downs, big rebounds. My whole point is, to be able to be a playmaker on defense with the steal attribute rating upgraded is actually very nice. Now again, this still remains in the C tier because anything above this is obviously a little bit more impactful or more needed. But either way, steal, a lot of people sleep on this. They would say it's in the like E tier, F tier. I do not agree with that at all. So then we have standing dunk and driving layup. So I'll talk about standing dunk first. Personally, I feel like this right here, it kind of goes hand in hand with a close shot just being at 25. Like if you have close shot 25, I would suggest definitely have standing dunk upgraded, and what comes with that as well is rise up. And I gotta say, like, man, you can really get a lot of standing dunks in this game, whether it's off ISO and you just sit below the basket and wait for your opponent to like jump and just fly right past you and just go up the standing dunk, or if it's off like cuts and stuff like that, or it could even be the standing lobs. It could literally just be anything when it comes to that. Or the obvious situation in the pick and rolls where you're gonna catch the ball below the basket, go right up with it. Either way, the whole point is standing dunk bails you out in a lot of situations where it would hurt you otherwise. So for instance, with the standing lobs, if you're able to catch a lob instead of your teammate passing it to you, then you have to go up with it, prevents you from your close shot having to activate, where likely you're somebody that has 25 close shot. And if you're gonna have to take a contested standing layup, it becomes very tough for you to execute on. Or if you don't have standing dunk upgraded and you're relying on that exact same 25 close shot to be able to go in against a contested finish, if it's not a lob, it's just a tough situation, man. So either way, standing dunk in my opinion is a little glue attribute rating, if you will, but a lot of people will feel the same way about this as they do steal. It's like, why even upgrade it? Most of the people who upgraded this in the first place with the ISO PGs and stuff like that at the power forward, they're probably just somebody who did it for the finishing badges. So it is what it is. Anyway, my whole point is I'm a big lover of the standing dunk attribute rating, and if you have any other opinions, feel free to let me know. So now we have driving layup. I feel like I might be putting this a little bit lower than a lot of you guys would. Maybe you believe it's a B tier or A tier attribute rating, but either way, my thing on driving layup, I feel like honestly anything past the attribute ratings that you want the animations for, like Long Athlete or Jamal Crawford, aka Circus, if you will, honestly is not even worth having. I personally have this really high, but it's just for the finishing badges in general. I do think, honestly, it's still a pretty glue attribute rating where if you don't have this at all, then you're definitely going to be hurting in situations where you don't get contact dunks. But honestly, with this game, it feels very contact dunk or nothing. It doesn't feel like 2K20 at all, where it's, 20 was so much hop dunking and stuff like that, where you needed the long athlete. But this year, honestly, you don't even need the long athlete or just the layup animations, if you will, to be able to get you into the transitions of hop dunks or Euro dunks or whatever it may be. Either way, my whole point is, definitely a glue attribute rating. I don't think this is as high as a lot of you guys might think it is with the B or A tier, but it definitely doesn't belong anything lower than C. I mean, I wouldn't really put it in the same boat as strength, and I definitely wouldn't put it anywhere near close shot. So in the B tier, once again, we have 5 attribute ratings. We got pass accuracy, mid-range, defensive rebound, perimeter defense, and vertical. Now, we're going to start from left to right. I'll talk about pass accuracy first and foremost. Again, a lot of people, this is one of the things that you guys just kind of skip out on upgrading, but I personally have seen it firsthand. Like when people had the game early on the Xbox stuff, like 4 days early or something like that, I was watching all the people who didn't upgrade pass accuracy at all, had no bullet pass or anything like that, just throwing straight loft passes, like a 60-year-old Drew Brees out there trying to throw a bullet. Look, I'm just going to put it like this. If you're a point guard and you don't have pass accuracy, you're tripping. If you ISO and you don't have pass accuracy, you're tripping. I've seen a lot of opinions of people who think that the low pass accuracy, it really doesn't matter to be having it low because they feel like, quote unquote, if you can't get the pass there in time anyway, then you shouldn't have made the pass anyway. Look, I'm gonna just put it like this, man. To be able to throw like really fast passes to the corner when people are baiting you and stuff like that, it really makes them have to stay at home. Now, if you have a low pass accuracy, you have a low bullet passer, I'm gonna just put it like this, man. I'm baiting off that corner all day because I already know I can sit in the paint, be a reliable help defender for my teammate if you get past him, and then if you try and pass it to the corner, you're not getting there quick enough. It's just as simple as that. And then even for the sake of just, the accuracy of the pass itself, I know you don't struggle in that situation, but a lot of people really sleep on this attribute rating. And when it comes to throwing outlets and stuff like that for the bigs, I gotta say, man, I've seen Hall of Fame bullet passer and 92 pass accuracy on these outlets on threes, and I gotta say, man, that thing is looking crazy. And same goes for team pro-am too, man. Like, it's just insane how fast the fast break can be ran if you have the good pass accuracy and the good bullet passer at your big man spot. So again, very valuable attribute rating when it comes to the point guards and the bigs in this game. So now we got mid-range. This ties into post-fade as well for anybody who doesn't know, but personally, I just feel like it's a little bit overrated of an attribute rating, or maybe just over-mentioned, I guess. And that's because obviously it comes to the nature of being a shooting attribute rating and goes with the shooting badges. Same with free throw, obviously. I mean, you upgrade all these things to be able to get the shooting badges, but we all know three-pointers rule the game, and especially in this game as well, because it seems like the pick and roll mid-range fades of current gen, where that was the meta, it's honestly not the thing anymore. It's crazy how that can just change, isn't it too? Like the meta of the game just 100% changes, where Like in current gen, we had straight mid-range fades all day, and now we don't have them at all. And now it's just contact dunks and 3-pointers on ISO, and screens is the only way to do it on current gen. It's so crazy, man, that like the game can just shift like that at any given moment. Anyway, my whole thing with mid-range, it's not exactly needed in this sense of like an ISO heavy game, and especially on 3v3 where just 3-pointers rule and 2-pointers are kind of the most easy thing to come by anyway, whether it's a slip from your big man, pick and roll, or you're just getting a contact dunk. Honestly, mid-range is a little bit overused of an attribute rating, but I do understand there are a couple of people who this playstyle pertains to, where they like to go for the mid-range fades, they like the post fades, stuff like that. Honestly though, I might be overrating this attribute rating quite a bit. This could belong in the C tier. So continuing along in the B tier, we have defensive rebound, perimeter D, and vertical. I'm gonna talk about D-board and vertical together because I feel like they do kind of go hand in hand when it comes to trying to get the rebounds. So a lot of people sleep on vertical. They be talking about like, doesn't make any difference of this being 70 or 95, who even cares? Like the only reason they even have vertical upgraded in the first place is because it ties together with driving dunk. And if they max out the driving dunk, you have to have at least 70 vertical. I personally will never ever be on a build that has less than like 80 vertical. Honestly, it just feels like a complete waste. And if you guys have followed the channel for years, or even just 2K20 in general, you guys know I love the undersized bigs and having good vertical, being able to outrun my opponent when it comes to the taller rebounders. And I gotta say, man, like in this game where everybody can max out their vertical, everybody can max out their D-board, you need both of these things upgraded. It's just flat out a truth. Now, you might ask, why is this in the B tier? I feel like these two ratings don't really compare to the ones that come into the A tier, but I will say these are necessities. Anything in the B tier or higher, I would recommend to upgrade on any of your builds, minus maybe mid-range being in the C tier where maybe you don't need this no matter what your build is. It might be very particular according to a certain build, essentially, but everything other than that, pass accuracy, D-board, perimeter D, vertical, I would recommend you upgrade no matter what your build is. So now, for perimeter defense, obviously this ties to clamps, which is going to be based on your lateral quickness as well. Now, I've been told perimeter D alone is your lateral quickness. I don't know that I believe that, really, to be completely honest with you guys. I think clamps is what ties into that, and just to have Hall of Fame clamps makes you move faster laterally, and then to have gold clamps makes you move faster laterally. I really don't think if you were to run 94 perimeter D with no clamps that you would just move fast with holding LT. But either way, this also affects your perimeter contest as well. So if you're anywhere near somebody, the perimeter D is going to light up and just give you crazy contest. If you have 95 on this thing, or 94, whatever the max is, honestly, man, it goes crazy. And then again, to combine this with the clamps is very nice. Now for the 6'8s out there, you can't get Hall of Fame clamps. I think the max for perimeter D is about 86, if you will, if you're 6'8". For the 6'7s, however, it is very different, where you can get the max perimeter D, get the clamps on Hall of Fame, etc., stuff like that. This one does feel like it ties into kind of a badge, if you will, with the clamps, but I gotta say, for you to have a super high attribute rating on this perimeter D anyway is ridiculous in the contest that it gives you on the perimeter. So now into the A tier, we have acceleration, ball handle, stamina, and block. So two very gloob attribute ratings right here. We got the acceleration and stamina. Then one that's very particular for the ball handlers and the point guards out there, or even just the hybrids who play big man but want to run a little bit of ISO. And then the block as well for the interior defense. Now me personally, I value block tremendously. Like this is one of the most important attribute ratings in the entire game, in my opinion. Saves you from getting dunked on. I feel like to have Hall of Fame rim protector, 95 block, tie that into vertical as well, and strength, like I was saying, for preventing you from getting dunked on. No way around it. Block is just a super important attribute rating, especially on the defensive end if you're playing a big man or just defending ISO in general. I feel like you need this no matter what your build is. Now, a lot of people who make a point guard, obviously they just disregard the block rating itself or just anything to do with interior defense. I understand that, but for anybody who's expecting to play somewhat solid defense and not get dunked on every play, need this attribute rating 100%. So then for ball handle, not only is this tied to not getting plucked as often when you're dribbling and somebody's attempting a steal, but on top of that, it also ties to animation thresholds. So for instance, you need 70 to get the behind the back animation. You need 80 to get pro dribble moves. You need 86 to momentum, etc., stuff like that. You need higher ball handling to unlock these certain animation tiers. And if you're a true ball handler or stuff like that, or you're a true point guard or attempting to run true ISO, then it is what it is. You need a higher ball handle. But for the people who don't care about this stuff, like a big out there who's just, you know, sort of like set pick, spot up, shoot, dunk, etc., stuff like that, play good defense. Obviously, you don't care about this too much, but this is a very important rating when it comes to the ball handlers or anybody who wants to run ISO or even just slash in general. So then additionally, the ball handler related things, or even just stamina, which is, good for defense. And same goes for acceleration, still very solid for defense. Acceleration and stamina. Stamina is just a glue attribute rating. You need to have this no matter what your build is. If you have low stamina, you're going to be hurting. It's just the fact. If you can't use your turbo and you can't sprint at almost any given moment, then what's the point, man? Like, you're just going to be suffering out there if you have low stamina. So I would suggest no matter what your build is, have this above 90. Again, the physicals are super easy to upgrade, man. Like, you literally just do not suffer at all when it comes to your overall, when upgrading things like stamina, vertical, strength. I feel like the only things that are hard to upgrade are speed and acceleration, but those are obviously well worth it. As you can see, speed has not been listed, and it's obviously in the A tier. But speaking on acceleration as well, pretty much speed's little brother. It's not exactly the most effective thing in comparison to speed, but obviously for dribblers, it's actually very important. And then I would say for on-ball defenders, it's pretty important as well. For the bigs out there, I don't think acceleration is the most important attribute rating, because flat out for you, it's all about top speed and reaching it, but also acceleration allows you to reach your top speed faster. So it is what it is. Either way, acceleration, still a very good attribute rating to be had. There's not much really explaining it, to be honest. You guys know exactly what it does, and I know exactly what it does. It's just hard to explain to some extent. So into the S tier, you can see the power that all these attribute ratings hold just by looking at them if you've played the game. 3-point, driving dunk, speed with ball, and speed. All of these relate to the super ISO meta in this game, where you're just going to flat out be a great 3-point threat if people play you too high. Driving dunk, contact dunks on them, speed with ball to make both of those work together very well, and then speed just in general, whether it's on defense, on offense, whatever it may be, off-ball movements, whatever you want to talk about. Now, we'll get to the whole difference between speed with ball and speed in a second, but we're going to start from left to right. So 3-pointer, obviously, I would say the most important attribute rating in the entire game. Flat out, if you can shoot, you're going to open up the offense for your teammates, and then on top of that, you open up the offense for yourself. If people play you off, you can just shoot wide open, stuff like that. It's very easy to green in this game, no matter what your 3-pointer is. I will say, I don't want to say it no matter what your 3-pointer is. Anything above 75, I can 100% guarantee you're going to be okay with, but anything lower than that, I can't exactly guarantee. But either way, combine 3-pointer with a solid set of shooting badges, etc., you're going to be cashing out no matter what. And flat out, like I said, it opens up the offense for you and your teammates. Driving dunk. We all know contact dunks are super OD in this game. They have nerfed it just a little bit, but it's not a tremendous nerf. I feel like contact dunks still do rule the game to some extent, but it is what it is. And if you're playing against people who upgrade into your defense, you are going to struggle to just body them down low. That's just a fact. But I will say, speaking from experience, it's very hard to upgrade this interior defense rating on any build in this game, and that's why driving dunk is such a relevant attribute rating. Flat out, I mean, it's contact dunks, it's driving dunks, and just flat out dunking when you're wide open on top of that, instead of taking driving layups that can miss in this game if you mistime them. Now, I will say you can just put the NA on and just make so you don't have to time your layups or anything like that, but some people don't realize that, and they just smoke wide open driving layups, even with like 90 on their rating. Either way, you get the deal. Driving dunk, super important attribute rating. Now, the difference between speed and speed with ball. I'm going to speak to 2K17 point forwards by mentioning this. So, in 2K17, 6'10" point forwards, they had 94 speed with ball, but like 76 speed. And they moved at a ridiculous rate with this speed with ball rating. Now, I don't know if that's the exact same thing this year, where if you could have 50 speed but 95 speed with ball, you're going to move at the speed of light with the ball in your hand, but then super slow with it out of your hand. Honestly, I don't know how that works, but I would like to think that these tie together in some way, because I wouldn't think they would repeat that exact problem that they had right there, but who knows, maybe they did that exact same thing. But if they did that, let's just speak on what speed with ball is going to do for you. Obviously, we know ball in your hand, move quickly with it. Honestly, this pertains to the smaller guards out there a whole lot. And when it comes to being a smaller guard, you need to have 94 speed with ball to be able to get the Hall of Fame quick first step. So that does tie into an actual badge. And I feel like speed with ball with no Hall of Fame quick first step is going to be pretty tough when it comes to small increment movements where you're going to go left, right, or size ups, etc., stuff like that, and move off of size ups. Quick first step is what it is. It's your first step. But if you have the high speed with ball, you can still move pretty quickly, but it's going to take a little bit longer. It's almost like quick first step is an acceleration type thing, whereas speed with ball is almost like speed, where it's your max speed that you can reach. But either way, super important attribute rating for the on-ball point guards, if you will. And then for speed, not much that needs to be said about this attribute rating. Super important no matter what your role is on the team. Point guard, lockdown, big man, whatever it is. Speed is important in this game. That's just flat out how it always is in every video game, especially Madden, while we're speaking on that. But anyway, speed is extremely important no matter what your build is. To max out your speed for whatever your height is a necessity in this game. And it's super cheap for you to upgrade for anything other than a point guard. And then for a point guard, it's super necessity. Obviously, you're going to want to max it if you're going to be short. That's like the one perk of your build. So why not max out your speed if you're going to be short? Either way, you get the deal. If you're short, you need it. If you're tall, it's very cheap and it's not hard to upgrade. So why not have this maxed at whatever your build can get it? And honestly, I feel like speed always rules in this game. Flat out, like I said, for the point guards, locks, or the bigs, you need it straight up. So anyway, that is our ranking, attribute ratings, and tiers in NBA 2K21 Next Gen. Hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on them noties. Like I said in the intros, try these 1 to 800 likes in the first 24 hours. And if you made it to the end of the video, put rating in the comments to show your support you made all the way through. If you have any feedback, you want to leave any comments, let me know what I got wrong on this list. Let me know what you think I did right. Feel free to leave it in the comments as well. Anyway, other than that, hope y'all enjoyed. Other than that, take it easy, man. Peace.